Hello, and welcome to Soda Review Channel, where today we will be taking a look at Caffeine Free Diet Coke. In this very pretty can, I do quite like the gold color. It is very nice, and I quite like that color. Now, Caffeine Free Coca-Cola and Diet Cola came out in around 1983 or 1984. That's what Wikipedia lists. It's not more specific than that. Right around the same time as Caffeine Free Tab was released. And about a year after Pepsi Free was released. Pepsi Free was a non-caffeinated form of Pepsi that later evolved into caffeine-free Pepsi. Now, this is branded as, and I'm very clearly calling this, caffeine-free Diet Coke, or Diet Coke caffeine-free. Primarily the latter. Because this is not decaffeinated. Because so far as I can tell from my readings online, with regular Coca-Cola and regular Diet Coke, they add the caffeine. It is not a natural product of the ingredients mixed together, of course, because Coca-Cola and most modern sodas you can buy today are synthetic in that they are not a mix of various ingredients stewed together then carbonated. They are specifically products created through the combination of certain chemicals within a solution. Sorry, jump cut there. There was someone driving outside down on the street, and they were playing their music very loud, and my lovely co-host was able to distinctly recognize the singer, so we thought it better safe than sorry to avoid a copyright strike. So as I was saying, this is caffeine-free rather than decaffeinated. Caffeine is not added to this chemical serum to create this. It is synthetic, but the individual chemicals added to the syrup may be from either synthetic or natural sources. They may be that stewed bunch of leaves that are concentrated down. There are many ingredients in here. Some of them you would distinctly call natural ingredients. Some of them are just grown in a lab. And that's okay. Because Coca-Cola and Diet Coke still taste good. Now, this is distinctly different from the process of decaffeinating something like coffee, which involves using chemical processes such as dissolution or using supercritical CO2 to dissolve the caffeine itself and remove it from the coffee beans. Now, I consider myself something of a coffee aficionado. That probably sounds really pretentious. I just like making coffee. I worked as a barista for almost 3 years, and I quite enjoyed the process. I always found decaffeinated coffee to taste worse. It has to be, at least generally, the stuff we bought was roasted in a really specific way that was not super conducive to the espresso we typically made, and it just didn't taste nearly as good, in my opinion. Hopefully, because this simply is missing an ingredient, this tastes at least somewhat similar to the original product. Now, one more thing I wanted to mention. Yes, the sides of this can are that very pretty gold color. The top of it is, except for the can tab, which is silver, and the bottom, just silver. Come on, Coca-Cola, you can do better than that. Let's give it a little pour. Weirdly, it looks a little bit more fizzy than normal Diet Coke. Maybe that's just my imagination, or I don't remember it that well, but it is still popping up, like, up to, like, here. Like, I'm getting some on my hand. Yeah. Okay, let's see if there's any interesting ingredients. Carbonated water, caramel color, aspartame, phosphoric acid, potassium benzoate to protect taste, natural flavors, and citric acid. That feels shorter, and that's interesting. Let's take a nice sniff of that. I just got my nose covered in little droplets of Diet Coke because it's still popping. That is remarkable and a little bit terrifying. But otherwise, it smells to me approximately like a regular Diet Coke. I have read about the specific flavoring that caffeine adds, and a lot of people say it does nothing for taste. It does have a taste. They just don't typically add that much caffeine to this. They add milligrams per can. That's a very small amount. But human taste is very sensitive, so it's very possible for us to be able to tell. Oh, would you like to see a magic trick? I can summon Diet Coke from anywhere. We totally didn't do another jump cut because someone was also playing very loud music on the street below. Let's take a look at that. I do want to compare it. Phosphoric acid, potassium benzoate. Nope, I was wrong. Only difference is that lack of caffeine. Same order and everything. All right, let's take a taste of this. My apologies. My director is telling me to put the Diet Coke away, and that's okay. That's right, you just got promoted to director. That is very minutely sweeter. The thing that the caffeine adds is a very tiny but sharp note of bitterness. And that is missing here. And it certainly makes the flavor less complex. This is far more just sweet. I think if you put these two, the caffeine free Diet Coke and the full caffeine Diet Coke, in front of me, and had me do a blind taste test and tell if they were different or not, I would be looking for it and say, yes, these taste slightly different. If you handed me this and told me it was regular Diet Coke, I would just think that it had gone a little bit weak. And I would believe you otherwise. That said, knowing that and this is caffeine free and drinking it, I feel just the tiniest bit more bored by it. Likely this is entirely psychosomatic. Well, I don't as much like the flavor due to that lack of bitterness. That is very minor. I can't really dock it points. So, realistically, I know that they taste the same, but I think my final thought is I just feel more like a dork. That's my honest feeling. I know that there are a lot of people who like the taste of soda and don't like the caffeine. So they drink caffeine-free sodas, and that's fine. I do not judge you for that. That is a personal choice. But for some reason, it makes me feel lame. And that's weird, but that's how my brain works. What I'm saying is, I need to stop being so judgmental of sodas. And yet, we have a channel where we judge sodas. Overall, I feel sad. I feel sad for having drunken that. Overall, I give it good. Because I know it's the same as regular Diet Coke. I know it is. I couldn't switch to this because I need the caffeine. When I say that I am a person who likes making coffee, I like doing that once every week or so, making a nice cup of espresso, a nice latte, something really nice, and I cannot supplant my caffeine addiction with that, and that's probably a problem. But if you just like the taste and that's all you need from a Diet Coke, and you either don't want, can't have, or don't care about the caffeine, this is a perfectly adequate substitute. You're not lame for drinking it. If you proudly drink a caffeine free Diet Coke every day, I am proud of you because you are a stronger person than me. Overall, I repeat, I give it a good.